Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Kevin Lopez. He believes in second chances because he's had more than two chances. He's had many different chances, and it's because God wasn't finished with him yet. He's a heart recipient, and you're going to hear his amazing story next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think we get upset about small things in life. We get cut off by somebody in traffic. They mess up our order at Starbucks. We get upset about small things. But imagine dying twice, which is exactly what happened to my next guest, Kevin Lopez, retired Plano detective and heart recipient. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your journey. So you began having heart trouble when?
In January of 2006 is when I had my very first heart attack.
And how old were you?
I was 35. I was just before my 36th birthday.
And tell us about that event.
Well, at the time I was working for Plano Police Department. I was a detective working undercover, and we were running a search warrant that day after we had been buying some meth from a place out, and it was actually in Farmersville in Collin County. And looking back on that day, everything was kind of blurry. The events that took place, I feel like it was, going smooth, but it really wasn't. I wasn't feeling good. I've always been pretty much a gym rat and always in the gym working out, stuff like that. And I was dieting pretty hard at the time. And prior to the search warrant, we were out by Lake Lavon, and I stopped at a little bait shop, and I bought a bag of tuna to eat for lunch. And I thought I had food poisoning because I was feeling nauseous. Later that day, as the day went on, I wasn't feeling good. Started getting almost like flu-like symptoms. By the end of the warrant, when we were done, we had, Collin County SWAT hit it and all this stuff. And by the end of the day, I wasn't feeling good at all. When we were driving back to Plano to our office, I was with another detective. He was riding in the passenger seat, and I pulled over one time so I could, get sick. And by the time we got to our office back in Plano, I was looking gray, like I didn't have color and stuff. And my buddy said, "Man, you don't look good." And I said, "Man, I don't feel good." And I said, "I think I'm gonna go home for the day." It was early in the morning when we run the warrant. So he said he would give me a ride home because we had take-home cars, and we were gonna have another detective follow us to my house. I live in Prosper. And so we were leaving the office, far east side of Plano, and we were at Jupiter and 14th Street, and I told him, "Hey, pull over, I have to get sick again." So he pulled over behind what used to be a Minyard's grocery store, and I got out of the truck, and I said, "Man," I said, "my skin doesn't feel right." And then whack, I just dropped.
Wow.
Cracked my head on the concrete. I felt kind of weird underneath the truck, and my buddy that was with me, that detective, he got the ball rolling, got on the radio, started, the fire trucks and ambulance, and started CPR on me. So I was gone. I mean, at the time I didn't know that, obviously, but after learning from everybody around there, getting to know the firefighters and stuff like that to save my life, they were professionals. I used to be an EMT also, a firefighter also through DFW Airport, and they told me they were doing courtesy CPR on me because there were so many officers around. They didn't want to make anybody mad, and I know what that means. That just means there was pretty much no hope for me.
Wow.
And they were just doing it to appease anybody that's around them, but they had zero pulse, nothing, no activity going on whatsoever. So they were doing courtesy CPR, and I was gone for a little over 7 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, really, because there's a golden 5. You have 5 minutes with no oxygen to where you're usually, you're going to have brain damage or something. And I don't think I have any. I mean, some of my friends might argue with you, but my kids maybe. But so the one of the paramedics, she said that it was just, out of the blue, she got just a slight pulse. And they put what's called a thumper on me, which is an automatic compression machine, loaded me in the ambulance, and they took off. And took me to what was at the time Medical Center of Plano, which is, I think now it's Medical City or something. And my cardiologist, Nita Bavicati, who's still with me to this day, she was in the emergency, this is in the afternoon, and she was in the emergency room there. And she said that everybody, all the specialists that needed to be there, they just happened to be there. She said they're never, ever there, and they always somebody has to get called in, but they just all happen to be there.
Wow.
And they saved my life. So I ended up in a coma for almost a week. And, everything, my whole world was, just falling apart around me. And I didn't know that I was in the coma. I woke up, 4 or 5 days later, wondering why everybody's crying, what's going on. And then just started the slow crawl back, which is, it's very difficult after each heart attack. It's very difficult. It's like getting put back to the beginning of a board game and learning how to walk again.
Incredible. Well, much more from Kevin in a minute. His journey has been documented many times on the news. This is a piece from my former news station, Fox 4, and this was done about 2 years ago. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Well, retired Plano police detective is alive thanks to a new heart.
He desperately needed a transplant after 19 heart attacks. And Shannon is here with an update on Kevin Lopez, a man that we've been following all along.
Yeah, and a lot of people online have also been following his journey. They've done a good job of documenting everything and keeping people posted. And, people were really rooting for him and hoping he'd get off the wait list.
Yeah.
We first brought you Kevin's story last spring as he waited for that heart transplant. Now with a new heart, he's ready to move forward. But first, he had the chance to say goodbye to his old one. Wrapped up, sitting on a table.
You know what this is?
At Baylor Scott and White Heart and Vascular Hospital in Dallas.
I believe it's my heart, isn't it?
Yeah. You ready to look at it?
Yes, sir.
It's the heart that endured 19 heart attacks and forced Kevin Lopez into early retirement from the Plano Police Department.
That thing helped me through so many things. It's amazing that it made it this long.
A defibrillator kept him alive, sending a shock every time he went into cardiac arrest.
It's been a long road, very long road.
After months on a wait list, he now has someone else's heart.
At first, it was a little rocky, just with the recovery, and had some issues with my wounds opening up and getting infected, and then I ended up getting COVID while I was in the hospital.
The healing process has been challenging physically and emotionally.
There's a little bit of guilt, that somebody had to pass for me to get my heart. There's a lot of gratitude. There's, just so many questions. It's a surreal feeling.
Holding his heart in his hands is part of that healing.
It's like getting to thank it and say goodbye to it properly. I was 10 when he had his first heart attack. I'm 20, I'm about to be 28 now. I'm forever grateful to that heart.
The transplant gives him more time with his children, his daughter Nicole and his son, 13-year-old Lucas.
That's something that I didn't think I was going to have, and I wasn't really planning on it because of the way things were going. I planned more for death than I did for living.
A new heart and a new beginning.
And now it's beautiful. I see a future again.
And the Lopez family has been sharing their journey online, holding fundraisers to help cover all of those medical expenses over the years. And we have a link to all of that on fox4news.com. So I brought a tear to my. I've seen this already.
Right.
Still just hearing it,
But
you're really rooting for him and his family.
And he's just so thankful. I mean, I think that's the big thing. So, what happens next? What?
Well,
where's he go?
Right now, they're just focused on his health. The pathologist, Dr. William Roberts, you saw there in the video, was really emphasizing, the health and diet diet. You know, he's got to be on a very strict low carb diet to keep his weight down and make sure he's caring for that new heart so that nothing else happens in the future. And that's really the most important thing for him right now. And it's kind of funny in the video, he kept telling the doctor, like, oh yeah, I'm going to work out. And the doctor said, no, not about working out. It's about cutting the calories and bringing down your weight. So it's, you know, they're really serious about it. And he really instilled that in him in that meeting.
Oh, well, second chance.
Yep.
Here you go.
What an incredible story. So many questions come to my mind. Let's start with you've died twice.
Yes, sir.
And do you have any memory of what it felt like to go on to meet your maker?
It was, boy, this is a big one. It was like being wrapped in a blanket, almost. If in the simplest terms, there was. I didn't see a light per se. It's hard to articulate this. A lot of people have asked me about this. It was more of the feeling that I was going through rather than the visual experience. And it was more of total comfort, where there's no fear, there's no anxiety. It's just happening. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of it at all. I know it's a wonderful thing where we're going, and it's just wrapped with love. It felt like it anyway. And I mean, I came back, so I couldn't tell you what the very end of the tunnel looked like, you know.
Yes. All right. Why do you think God kept you around?
You know, I've struggled with that question probably for the first several heart attacks that I had, because I survived 20 of them. And to be honest, it took a toll on me through depression, and which is a side effect of a heart attack, which I didn't know that until about my third or fourth one. And then I realized that I was dealing with depression. But it was struggling with why am I here? Why was I saved? I started questioning my faith in God, and had to come back to terms with all that stuff and come full circle with it, and made peace with everything. And honestly, I think it's just to spread the word that, you know, it's okay to live your life to the fullest. It's okay to love each other. I'm here for my kids. I mean, I'm gonna be choked up, but I'm here for my kids. My kids need me. I have a 16-year-old son and a 30-year-old daughter, and I'm telling you, I'm not the richest man in the world, but I'm wealthy as you can be. Okay.
I love it, and I'm not trying to make you cry.
No,
so I know
don't.
there is someone else's heart beating in your chest right now.
Yes, sir.
And for people who are not familiar with organ transplants, it's anonymous. So you don't know if you have a young heart, a old heart, a male heart, a female heart. You don't know.
No idea. Don't know the gender, the age, you know, anything about them whatsoever. They don't tell you any of that. They keep it secret. It's totally anonymous. The only thing I know about my heart is that it was from a high-risk donor. And a high-risk donor, from what I understand, it could be a number of things. It could be somebody that was incarcerated at some point. It could have been an intravenous drug user. It could have been a prostitute, you know, hepatitis, HIV, a number of things. And that's one of the things you learn during the listing process is about high-risk organs. And are you going to accept one? And they go over, you know, there's so many things that medicine can actually take care of. They can't guarantee it, but, you know, they're kind of like wink, wink kind of deal. And I made a decision during the listing process that I wasn't going to turn away a high-risk heart. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if they would have said it was HIV or something like that. But I just didn't want to gamble with that chance.
Sure.
You know, and I figured whatever God puts in front of me, I'm going to take it and run with it.
All right. And Kevin, they allow you can write a letter to the family of the donor. And,
yes, sir.
And you've started that process?
Yes, sir. So through Southwest Transplant Alliance, which is my organ procurement company locally for Dallas. So you have to wait a year after transplant. And once your year comes up, you can write a letter and you send it to Southwest Transplant. They send it to the organ donor or the family. And, you know, for that first year, coming up to that date, October 23rd, I had that letter written probably 100 times or so. And October 23rd came up 1 year later. I sat down, literally sat down to write it. Pad of paper, all everything out, coffee, all this good stuff. And nothing made sense. I mean, I tore up, I don't know how many pages. It was horrible. Everything that came out, it just didn't feel worthy. And I just put it away. And actually called somebody at Southwest and, told me, I can't write this letter. I said, just give it time, and talking to folks that I knew through transplant and, organ donation and stuff. And they said, just do it when you're ready. And then a couple months went by, and Christmas morning I woke up. I wrote that thing in about 5 minutes.
Paraphrase it. What did you say?
I just told them the things that I was able to see since getting the organ, since being given that gift of life, that I was able to watch my daughter graduate from college. I'm able to sit here and watch my son, and thrive in jiu-jitsu and everything that he does, his grades and all this stuff. And just that the opportunity isn't missed on me, that I appreciate every second and everything they've done. And I don't celebrate the day. I mean, it's a big moment for me, but I know that my donor's family is going through something completely different on that day. I don't know their circumstances, and we pray for them daily. My family and I, out loud, pray for the donor family. And we pray that someday we'll be able to meet them, and maybe they'll be able to hear their loved one's heartbeat, because it's loud and it's proud, and it's beating strong. It is strong.
So beautiful. We're going to go to your Facebook gallery page because there's so many amazing images. And as we scroll down this, why don't you talk about some of the images that we're seeing?
Okay, so that is my heart. That was January, probably late January of 23, which is just 4 months after transplant. And Baylor University Medical Center, downtown Dallas, is the one who did my transplant. And they have a program, which I didn't know, that they had a program where you could say goodbye to your organ, have a viewing of it and everything, and talk to the pathologist about, what was going on with your organ. And we found out about this because we were jokingly, because I have a weird sense of humor, but when we were talking to the surgeons during the workup for the listening, surgeons don't really have a big sense of humor, but, I was trying to lighten the mood, and I said, hey, what do you guys do with the old organs? Do you throw them out back and the cats eat them or something? And he was like, no, but we have a program here that you get to view your heart, and it's pretty profound. I said, great, sign me up. So when I was in the hospital while I was waiting, living in the hospital, I was walking. That's the only thing I could do for my part, is walk as much as I could to stay. The doctors are going to do their part, nurses are going to do their part, my family and everybody. But my part is just stay as physically strong as I could, even though I was on my last legs. So I would just walk. That's it. Excuse me, do cardio. And I like to talk. So I was talking to folks every day because I'm living in the hospital. And I met the folks in the pathology department just by chance. And they said, yeah, we're going to be the ones you come to see. So I would go hang out with them daily, on my walks. And so we got to go in there and with Dr. Roberts, he wasn't the first to do a transplant over there, but he was one of the first. He had been there forever. And when he did that viewing, he was retired. He was 93, and he would come in just to do that and just explain, you show your organ and tell you could say, okay, I remember back in, this heart attack I had, I was having these effects, and he would show you on your heart, this is where that happened or whatever.
Wow.
And he took a special liking to me, and he kept in touch with me. He would check on me for a couple months, and he actually passed away 6 months after that. And he was a wonderful, wonderful man. But as they all are over there at Baylor, they're just tip of the spear. But yeah, so it was the viewing. They had it, already sliced up, and that heart. If you look at those images, if you go to my website and stuff, it was huge. I mean, my heart. The day I got my transplant, my ejection fraction, which is the amount of blood that gets pumped out of your heart into your body. Okay, normally for everybody it's 55 to 60%. And mine was less than 2% that day. And I was running around for years at less than 15, less than 10, like nothing, because it was a mindset. I have a warrior mindset. I'm a warrior to the end. Yes. I was raised that way. I come from a long line of veterans and just warriors. And I got that warrior blood in me. And so I don't give up on anything.
All right, so there was something I said off the top of the broadcast that, we all make little things big things. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, they mess up your order. What is it like to approach life every day with gratitude?
Oh, boy, it's a relief. Let me tell you, it is such a relief not to worry about all the little things that just don't matter. You know, there's so many things that we stress about, and I preach to my friends, they're probably tired of hearing it. Especially, you know, my friends that are still police officers that are just on the edge all the time. I'm like, man, none of that matters. None of it. It absolutely does not matter. You can shake off all that stuff. Wave those folks by when they're going by crazy in the car. Somebody's upset, you know, just say, hey, have a good day. You know, you just don't know what people are going through.
Right.
So you got to take that into account. And I know I still have my bad days, but I really try not to. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I look at is a photo of my kids embracing each other next to the bed right after transplant where I was still out. And out loud, I say, thank you, God, for letting me take this breath, because this is going to be a good day. Every day is a good day.
Kevin, we've got about 2 minutes left, and so I know every time you renew your driver's license, you get a chance to check that box.
Absolutely.
Why is it important that people check that box?
It's absolutely important because you don't know whose life you can save, how many lives you can save. If somebody didn't check that box, I wouldn't be here right now. You know, my kids wouldn't have their dad. My friends, you know, you're not just helping me, you know, the recipient. I tell folks this all the time. You're not just helping me. It's my whole tribe. I got hundreds, if not thousands behind me, you know, and every one of them appreciate that. You know, they appreciate every little bit you do, which is, you know, the ultimate sacrifice is, you know, selfless, giving an organ. You could save so many lives. And I wish more people would, you know, there's a lot of folks that think there's all these myths involved with it, with, you know, well, they don't give it to you if you don't have insurance or this and that. It's just not true. Those things go to who needs it.
Final thoughts. What do you want to leave people with?
Final thoughts. I mean, I've been through a lot. I've survived 20 heart attacks, died 2 times. I'm half blind because of a stroke. I had to retire because of everything. I've been financially broke completely 2-3 times and made it back each time. Don't ever give up on anything you're doing. Just keep your faith and remember that you know, slow everything down and take a deep breath and appreciate what you have in front of you. It's not about what's over that hill. It's what you got right now. That's it.
So beautiful. Kevin, you're one of my favorite shows. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much. I appreciate that.
Sharing your heart literally with us. And we're going to end with his Facebook page so you can get in touch with him. And Kevin Lopez, thank you so much for just sharing your journey with us.
Thank you, Jerry.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.